What is up, guys? We are live here at Pro Play Games with sponsored PBG player Ruben, and he just came back from a long distance regional, went over to the Philly regional. Over 500 players at this regional with some huge invites passing down. He was able to finish in the top 20. What were you playing? What place did you finish?
I played pure Sky Striker, a little change up from the Goki I normally play. Just wanted to have some fun this weekend. It was my birthday weekend, was up there for an Eagles game. Decided to go to the regionals, destroy some people, you know, pretty fun. I got 17th place. I would have done better, but I had a little deck error round 3. So I'm just gonna show you guys what I got. Okay, so to start off with the deck profile, obviously 3 Ray, heart and soul of the deck. Really no explanation on why you need to play 3. And for the hand traps, I decided to play 3 Ogre, 3 Ash for the monster hand traps. I didn't want to go too overboard since it is a regional and Goki has lost a little bit of popularity. There's no real reason to go overboard and play more than how many I played. 8 hand traps in the main deck. I played 2 impermanents, as you guys will see later. So I really didn't think there was any need for that. To go on to the heart and soul of the deck, the Sky Striker spells. I got 3 engage, obvious. 3 widow anchor, obvious. I decided to only play 2 multi-roll. The card's very good. It's needed in the mirror match. You want to start with it as much as possible, but it's not a card you want to draw multiple of. It's actually extremely terrible to see multiple of because both of its effects are hard once per turn, so you really gain nothing out of seeing multiples of them. I thought the same thing about the field spell. As much as it does unbrick you, you really don't want to see multiple of them or hit a field spell off of a field spell because you're just going back a turn and it really slows you down. So you just want to make sure it's there and you see it when you need to. You don't want to see too much of it. To go along with the 2 field spells were the 2 terraformings, because you don't always want to search it off of engage. You want to sometimes have it without it, so you can search something else with engage, like an extra widow or the multi-roll just to get started. For the 1-ofs, right here, shark cannon, obvious, amazing in the mirror. Jamming waves, I actually decided to play jamming waves. It's very good for the mirror, very good versus Altergeist. It's really good versus rogue, which I was expecting. A lot of people really don't expect it in the mirror, respect it, so it was really nice to have in my deck just to catch some people off guard. Afterburner, kind of wish I played 2 of this. This card was phenomenal all weekend. There were some times that I banished it off a multi-roll and I wish I had another one to search, but it's just learning experience, still pretty new to the deck, but I'm glad with how it performed at 1. Obviously 1 Hornet Drones and 1 Eagle Booster. These cards were the bane of me. I got round 3 game loss because these cards were apparently able to be found in my deck, which I don't really understand why, but that's not the point of this. So I had 3 minutes to replace the cards in my deck and I wasn't able to do it in time because some of the vendors had to go through a bunch of bulk to find the cards. And then for the other spells in the deck, obviously 3 Twin Twister. This was extremely important because I did decide to go second every game 1 and pretty much every game I could, because going second, all your cards get a lot more value, including all of the Sky Striker cards like multi-roll and the field spell get more value when you have more cards. You want to be able to afterburn and jamming wave something turn 1, because really having them in your hand turn 0 essentially doesn't do anything. I think this deck can break boards instead of making them turn 1, which is why I decided to go second. Along with that, I have 2 Called by the Graves. This card, before I really didn't think it was necessary, but it's become very important in the deck because making sure your opponent doesn't have a Ray is extremely important, because you want to cut off their resources as soon as possible. And just to counteract some hand traps when you only have 1 play in your hand, like some people like to Ash engage straight off the bat if it's the first play you make, which I personally believe is incorrect, but some people do it, so Called by the Grave protects you from those types of plays. 2 Desires, just for consistency. It's pretty bad in the mirror match. You really don't want to lose your resources and get outgrinded, but I think you need it just to get started for those rare cases that you are made to go first. So it's just a love-hate relationship I have with this card, but I think it's really needed in the deck, and it's actually really important. It gets another spell in the graveyard. It's really strong. Drawing 2 is never a bad thing. Just sometimes when you banish things off of desires, such as like your 1 Eagle Booster, your 1 Shark Cannon, it can hurt, but you just have to be able to use it at the right time. Next cards, the more turbo-ish cards. I played the 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Metaphos Fusion. I thought these cards were very good. They always came up when I needed them. My opponent tried to Gumblar me once and I had the Fusion in my hand, so it made the Gumblar a lot less powerful. The great part about Fusion is it's not terrible to hard draw because you have the 3 Twin Twisters, you have essentially your 4 field spells and your 2 multi-rolls, which already right there is 9 ways to get it out of your hand turn 1, since we're going second every time. On top of the fact that you have the 3 engages, so you essentially have 12 ways to get it out of your hand. Then Upstart and Rhoda, staples, really, not too much to say about that. And then the last 2 cards in the main deck, 2 Infinite Impermanence. These cards performed phenomenal all weekend. So many people played into them by having them into the back row. You just set it straight in the middle. No one really expects it. Field center and tokens. Shout outs to the gang. Shout outs to Kamal. Then the extra deck, pretty standard. 3 of each. 3 of each is extremely important. Anyone that says to play any less of any of them is incorrect by all means. All of them come up every time. You don't want to have to go fields 1 to raid turn 1 and automatically go into Shizuku, and if you hit an engage, have to waste your Shizuku that turn. You want to be able to have the flexibility to go into the Hayate. And on top of that, that just puts 4,500 damage in your extra deck every time in the mirror match, which is super crucial. You want to have the extra Hayate, whether it is getting a 3rd spell in the graveyard or just doing in bits of damage right before time. Whatever the case is, each and every one of them comes up. Next, for the flex spots, I only played 1 Link 2, which was Nightmare Phoenix. It was the best Link 2 you could really play. I really didn't miss anything else. Along with Phoenix, I played 1 Unicorn. Unicorn is there just for spot removal for anything that you really have any issues with. Alongside the Unicorn was the Ningrisu, something that doesn't target, so it's essentially Unicorn but on crack, because it does the same exact thing except putting it back to the deck, it just sends it to the graveyard non-targeting. So sometimes when your opponent has 2 or 3 back row and you really have a feeling which one they you know is the threat, but they don't want to use it on their Ningrisu to hope on those 50-50s or those 30% chances that you don't hit it, and you're able to snipe it out, is really strong, on top of the fact that you can send your own field spell with it and go into one of the other cards in my extra deck, which is really strong. Next one, Topological Trisbania. This card, I didn't go into it. I'm actually considering cutting it for another Link 2 in my extra deck, not really sure. This card was meant to be only for the mirror match or Altergeist, being able to make a Link 3 and then blow out their back row after they reset everything off multi-rule. Being able to do damage in main phase 1 is really important in the mirror match, because there sometimes gets to points where you go 2, 3, 4 turns and no one has dealt any damage. So I think it's really important to have, but it might come out. And then for the 2 Link 4s, the 2 most important cards in my extra deck, I do believe, are Topological Bomber Dragon and Borosword Dragon. There were so many people that IOTK turn 2 because of Borosword Dragon. It's just a simple fact that if you set up with 3 spells in the graveyard and you're able to get a Shark Cannon, maybe 1 Widow Anchor, and have a way to get to Ray, you have a way to get to Borosword. If they have a Link 2, you have a way to just OTK with Borosword, Hayate, and just literally any monster. It's great. There's really no reason that Borosword shouldn't be in your extra deck. A lot of people didn't see Topological Bomber Dragon coming. It was awesome because I did get Gumbard without a hand trap once. Just being able to have access to this with a Shark Cannon and maybe a Widow Anchor, or a Ray and a Widow Anchor, whatever the case is, this is just allows you to break the boards of the Goki, because they normally don't end on Cerebus, so it becomes very strong. Next, I'm going to go on to my side deck. I think my side deck was pretty good, but it could have been better. To start off, the hand traps for Goki. Like I said, we were always going second, so I wanted to have more hand traps in the side deck. I had 2 Ghost Spell and 3 Gamma. It was between 3 Gamma and then maybe 3 Droll or 3 Gamma, 3 Veiler. I was going back and forth between all the hand traps that I really had available. I just wasn't really sure. But I came to the conclusion that I'm going to always put them on better have the field spell, and that makes Gamma the best hand trap versus them, because you can Gamma them at any crucial point and they have to have either a Reborn card or a Soul Charge to be able to out it, which is extremely important. And then Ghost Spell was just very good because it also hits rogues such as BA, which is actually very strong. It stops the Seer Dante loop. It also stops other cards such as Invocation versus that matchup, and these cards are just very versatile in what they can do. Next, I decided to side some cards for the mirror match, specifically Hercules base. This was for either the mirror match or True Draco, some of the matches that could go a little longer. And as you guys probably noticed, Shared Ride wasn't in my main deck, but it's because, like I said, I wanted to go second, so I decided to side 3. These always came in when I played the mirror match. Doesn't matter if I was going first or second. This card is so important. People don't understand the value of Shared Ride. It is really maxi, especially in the mirror match. When you play against the mirror, you never want to Ash and engage or Shizuku or anything like that. You always have to hold your Ash for the Shared Ride, because if your hand's playable, the Shared Ride, if you were to play through it, would give your opponents at least 2 to 3 extra cards, which are so crucial in the mirror match, because you want to be able to 1-for-1 with your opponent until you have the last card, because you're going second. So it's very important to save your Ash for that specific card. Them adding engage on the end phase doesn't affect you at all, because that's for their next turn. You want to be able to do as much in the turn that comes up, not in the future, and that's another reason why I played to Heavy Storm Duster. So Heavy Storm Duster was also for the mirror match, but it was also for rogues such as True Draco and Altergeist. This card came up a lot. I got Secret Villaged and Rivalried multiple times, and it was actually back-to-back turns, so I was glad I drew 2 of these. It was a semi-brick. I needed to hit off my field spell, but the second he flipped Metaverse and then Rivalry, I was in a tough spot, so I just decided to set 4. I was able to Heavy Storm Duster the Rivalry and the Secret Village, so it turned out great. And the last 3 cards, obviously 3 evenly matched. This card was broken all weekend. It saved me versus True Draco in the last round. I got paired up with him, made him go first. He opened insane. He set 5. I got Imperial Order game 1, decided to scoop. Game 2, I even lead him, and he scooped after I showed him an engage. In game 3, I even lead him again after I got anti-spelled. The next turn, I had Heavy Storm Duster, and he pretty much conceded at that point. That's pretty much the deck list. So just to basically wrap up about the event, it was super fun going to a regional out of state. Really never experienced anything like that. It kind of felt like YCS. I got to hang out with some friends such as Joe Bogley and Jesse Cotton. It was great. Shout outs to Giovanni Gonzalez for finally getting me on this deck. It's really fun. It's actually very interactive. It reminds me a lot of playing Zoo. The mirror match is extremely skill intensive. There's really no auto wins of the mirror match besides shared ride, but if you play the mirror match correctly, it shouldn't kill you unless they have it multiple turns in a row. Just wanted to give a couple shout outs. Shout outs to Ultra Pro and PPG, best team in the world. Honestly, couldn't do this without them. The support behind them and the cards they actually provide for me are amazing. Shout outs to YGO and Kamal, they're my main testing partners. They really help me out with everything, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the next event.